Welcome back to Backspace Academy. Now that we've got our domain name registered and we know what that domain name is, we can go into the Amazon S3 service and create a bucket. So let's go into Services, S3, and that will bring us into the S3 Management Console. If you haven't used Amazon S3 before, you won't have any buckets listed there because you haven't created any. So I just need to explain what the Amazon S3 service is. It's one of the abstract services of Amazon Web Services, and what that means is that there's obviously some technology behind it. There's obviously a server. It may be a Linux server. It's obviously got hard drives. It's got stuff attached to it. But we don't really need to know what goes into the Amazon S3 service. It's an abstract service, and what we do is we create this thing called a bucket, and we put our objects, our files, into that bucket. And Amazon S3 or Amazon Web Services, they will look after everything else for us. They'll automatically scale that if it gets hit with a lot of demand. They'll contract it if it doesn't. And we just pay for them to look after all of the difficult stuff for us. So what we do is we create one of these buckets, and we're going to put our website or upload our website to that bucket. So we click on Create Bucket. So the first thing it's going to ask us for is our bucket name. So under bucket name, we need to put our domain name that we've chosen for our website. So I've got there backspaceacademy.com. We'll select a region. Now it doesn't matter what region you select, just select US East North Virginia. The reason is it doesn't matter where we put it because it will eventually go out and be cached across the globe through the CloudFront service. Then we can click on Next to go to the next screen. So there are some options there available for us. We're not going to need versioning because we're just going to be uploading our website. We're going to look after versioning on our PC or whatever we're using. We're using a Git repository or whatever. So we'll look after versioning on our side of things. We won't worry about setting that up for now. And we don't need to worry about logging or tags either. So I just click on Next. So we need to manage public permissions. So this is a website, and it's going to be a publicly accessible website. So we want everyone to be able to read it. But everything else we don't want to select. So we don't want everyone to be able to write to it. By all means, we don't want that. We don't want them to be able to see the object permissions. And we don't want other authenticated users to be able to write to that either. So we basically have everyone and have read access, and that will give it a public access to our website. Click on Next. And there you can see that we have the name, which is backspaceacademy.com. Yours obviously will be different. We have versioning and logging and tagging disabled. And we can see there we've got public permissions are enabled. And then we just create the bucket. So I'm just going to search for, I've got a ton of buckets in here. So I'm just going to, okay, there we go. So there is our bucket that has been created. So we just click on that now, and that will take us into the management screen for that bucket. So now we can look at uploading our website to this Amazon S3 bucket, and then we can look at using the Amazon S3 service to host that bucket for us. So let's just click on Upload. Now we could click on Add Files and select the files and upload them individually, but that is a difficult way to do it. So the far easier way of doing it is to just drag files across using your File Explorer. So I'll just show you how to do that now. So here we have our files, and all we need to do is just drag those across and just drop them on the form. And that will not only bring in those files, but it will also bring in the directories, subdirectories, and the files inside of those as well. If you use the other way of selecting the files, it'll only bring them in one by one, and the directories in without the files inside them. So this is a far better way of doing it. So now we'll click on Next. So what we need to look at now is our group permissions. So we want this to be publicly accessible. We want it's a it's a public HTML5 site that people go to, and they can view that, the contents of that site. So we just want to have everyone to have read access to our site, and we don't want them to be able to read the object permissions, and we don't want anyone else to have permissions other than ourselves. So we look here, manage users, and I've got myself here as the owner, and I've got full permissions on everything, but the general public can only read the objects inside of this bucket and nothing else. So we have some selections of storage class, so that really determines our level of reliability. Now that's not overly important here because we're going to front this with CloudFront, which is going to provide another layer of availability for us. So you could probably get away with using reduced redundancy if you wanted to save a bit of costs. I'm going to leave it at standard. If we scroll down here, there is another section for metadata. So we can add header information to these objects. You normally wouldn't be concerned with that, but I'll show you one reason why you may have to get involved in this area of modifying HTML headers on an object. So if I have a look at this site here that I've uploaded to that backspaceacademy.com, and I look at my actual backspace.academy site, which is the correct site and has been set up properly. Now this was uploaded using the old S3 interface, and I used to be able to just drag my site across and everything came out looking like this, and it was wonderful. But Amazon this year have unfortunately updated the S3 user interface, and I'm sure they'll probably get around to fixing this, but when you upload stuff, a lot of the MIME types that are attached to header information is incorrect. And one of those is being SVG files. So if we have a look at there, obviously there are images missing. So one of those there is a logo. So if I click on that, if I have a look at the information on that, so if I click on inspect, I can see there that it's called logo, it's there, hey, but where's it gone? So if I just close out of that, and if I just copy the image address, and I'll just post it into another tab and see what happens. So if I go there, okay, so the image is there, but it's not being displayed on the screen. It's being downloaded as a file, which is not what we want. So we don't want this to download as a file. We want it to download and be presented on our web page. What is causing that is that the MIME type attached to that object is incorrect. So when the browser downloads it, it just thinks it as a normal file, and it just downloads it as a normal file. It doesn't present it on the screen as an image like it should. So if I go in here, and I'll just close out of that. Now if I press F12, that will bring up the Chrome developer tools. And Internet Explorer and Firefox also have developer tools that are very similar. So I'm going to click on the Network tab, and that's going to tell me what's going on with the HTML header information as these objects are being downloaded to the browser. And I'll just refresh that screen. So I'm going to look for logo.svg. That's a file that's one of the files that is giving me a problem. Okay, up the top there. So here we have logo.svg, and it's saying the type is octet-stream. But when I look at another one here, here's another SVG file, and it's saying it's SVG plus XML. Okay, so clearly this is not saying the right type of what it should be. So if I go into this one here and I do the same thing, so if I press F12, and again if I refresh the screen and have a look at what logo comes in here, so we can see here logo.svg, and it has just disappeared. There we go at the top there. Logo.svg is coming through as type SVG plus XML. So that's a problem, and that is obviously what is causing that file not to be displayed on the screen. So how do we fix that? So at this stage here, we can select our header information for that file. So if we just scroll down, and we'll find one that says content type. Okay, and then we can put that header value over there. So I'm just going to copy that header value. Copy. There we go. Okay, and I click on save, and then all of a sudden everything that gets uploaded here is going to have the header information SVG type. Obviously I don't want to do that because I'm copying my entire website, so I don't want to apply it to my entire website. But the reason I'm showing you this, and I'm just going to clear that off there because I don't want that to happen, is that if you are having problems displaying stuff on the screen and it's downloading as a file instead of being displayed on the screen, have a look at your MIME type and change the content type header for that object. And that will fix the problem. So what I do, and what is very good practice, is that where you have SVG files, put them in their own folder and then reference that folder as in the image reference. That way you can upload that folder and you can upload that entire folder as the correct content type. So how do you find out what the correct content type? Well, the Mozilla network is probably the best place to go. So MDN. Okay, so let's just go to the Mozilla network or developer network, and I'm just going to type in here listing of MIME types. Okay, so complete list of MIME types. And there we have it. So we can just scroll down here and look at the file that's giving us problems. And so we just find the SVG file, and we can see here it should have that as the type. So I'm just going to get that, copy that over. And that would be what we put in there, would be the correct type. And then we just put that on there like that. So that would be the correct way of doing it, and that would solve that problem for us. So again, we're not going to do that, so I'll just save it and then delete it and move on. Okay, so there we are. We have 148 files that I'm uploading here, and we've got 2 lots of permissions. Myself has full permissions, and everyone has public permissions on that as well to read. There is no encryption. I haven't attached metadata, but if I did, that content type would be there. And the storage class is just standard. So let's upload that. So one thing I'm going to do now, just to make sure that I haven't made a mistake with any of this, I'm just going to click on here and select everything, and then just go into More and make sure that I've made everything public. So just click on Make Public and Make Public. Okay, so that's done. So that is our website has been uploaded. So although it's been uploaded, it's not actually a website as such. We've only just uploaded files to the S3 service into a bucket. So we need to actually now enable website hosting on this bucket. So we're actually in the bucket now, and we go into Properties, and then we go into static website hosting, which is what we want to do. Host a static website which does not require server-side technology. So this is a HTML5 website. We're just delivering it as files, so it doesn't require PHP or anything like that. So let's click on that. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So we're going to use this bucket to host a website. And it's going to ask for the index document, and we know that it's index.html. It's asking for an error document. I don't actually have one for this, so I'll just leave that blank. And we're not doing any redirections here. And we click on Save. And that's that done. So you can see there it's got bucket hosting written on there. So we go on here now, and you can see we've got an endpoint here now. So if we click on that endpoint, it'll come to our website. And there you go. So that's the website that I uploaded. It's just a template from free HTML5 websites or whatever it was called. And that's pretty cool. And that is how easy it is to upload a website and do static website hosting. So one problem that we can have though is if we go to here and if we put in, for example, www.that. So if we go to www, it's not going to find it. So we need something that's going to give us the www subdomain as well. So we need to redirect everything that goes to www to the root domain of backspaceacademy.com. And we can see here there's a lot of other stuff after the .com, and that is because that is just the S3 website. And then we need to actually establish our Route 53 domain that will point the traffic to this actual website. So we'll go back to the S3 Management Console, and we'll just get out of that now. And we'll go back to Amazon S3. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create another bucket, and it's going to be for the www. So let's create another bucket there now, and we'll do www. Okay, so www.backspaceacademy.com. Yours will be different, of course. We'll select the region. Again, it will need to be US East, the same region as before. So US East, North of Virginia. And again, we click Next. And again, we just don't worry about versioning, logging, or tags, and click Next. And again, we need to manage our public permission. So we just have read for everyone, Next. And then we create that bucket. Okay, we can see there we've got our Backspace Academy bucket there. So we'll just click on that. So again, we go into Properties. We don't upload anything to this bucket. It's going to be a completely empty bucket. And we just go to Properties. And again, we go into Static Website Hosting. But this time we're going to be redirecting requests. And we're going to go to the Target bucket. So our target bucket will be backspaceacademy.com. Yours obviously will be different. And we click on Save. And there we go. We're redirecting all requests for www.backspaceacademy to the backspaceacademy.com. So if we now go into static website hosting, and again we can see there we've got an endpoint that's been created. Similar to the other one, but it's got www there in front of it. So if we click on that, what has happened is that request has been redirected to backspaceacademy.com. Now the problem is that backspaceacademy.com hasn't been set up. So although we've purchased our domain name, we haven't set up in Route 53, the domain name service, to direct all requests to that domain name through to Amazon S3. So that's something that we will do in the next lectures. So that's all for now. We have established an S3 bucket. We've uploaded our website to that bucket. We've enabled hosting on that website, and we've also enabled redirecting of requests to the www subdomain to our root domain. So I'll see you in the next lesson.